Well, good morning and welcome back to the next episode of The Awakened Stranger. And this is Cody, and today we're talking with Melanie. And here in just a moment, I'll give the time over here to Melanie to introduce herself and share some of her life experiences. And again, thank you guys for taking this time with us and listening. This has been an amazing experience. We're 1 week in from the official launch date, and so far we're reaching 9 different countries. So continue listening and continue sharing. It's been a lot of fun. But as we get started, Melanie, why don't you take us some time and introduce yourself? Let us know who you are, what you've been through in life, and maybe some experiences that have led you to our moment together today. So here is Melanie.
Okay, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate this. This has been, I've been so excited sitting here in anticipation, waiting to get on and chat with you. So that's awesome. So I'm 42. I'm from Alberta, Canada. I have 2 kids. I'm married. Been married for the last almost 17 years. And it's been quite a ride. It's been quite a journey, I must say. I was really excited to hear stories about other people's awakenings and to be able to share mine. You know, even though I think at the end of the day, a spiritual awakening kind of shows up the same in some forms for everybody, but how the story unfolds is different for each of us. So it's been pretty cool listening to the podcast and hearing everyone else's stories. And I'm just, I'm appreciative that I get to share mine today. So yeah, so thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being here and definitely sharing the space with us. So, but yeah, give me an idea of how long or when you realized that things were different for you.
Okay. Yeah. So it's been a little bit, I would say as late as probably 2013, things started to happen for me. Like I started getting into, I knew I could sense, I don't know, we'll say like spirit or ghosts or, just, I could sense that there were things, there were things there. And so I wanted to start learning and start developing like my psychic abilities. So that's kind of where it all started. And so I started learning and discovering that I had all these different senses, like the clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance. So it really all started there. But I would say like the bulk of the spiritual awakening itself probably hit more closer to around 2019. So at that point, I was about 36-ish. I had both my kids were in school full time by then. And so I was still at home. I'd always been, the homemaker, the one who stays home and takes care of the kids and the house and all that. And my kids went off to school full time, and I was kind of at this place now where I was, I guess I was kind of falling into a depression. Really, I think that that's basically kind of what sparked everything. I was falling into this depression. I was feeling like I had no purpose. I was actually asking the bigger questions, like, what is my purpose? Why am I even here? What am I even doing? Like, there's got to be something more than this. And it was around the same time where I started seeing repeating numbers. So I don't know if you're familiar with anything about repeating numbers, or a lot of people call them angel numbers, if you will. But I started seeing 1111.
Yep.
I started seeing it on the clock. Right. I started seeing it on the clock, license plates, receipts, flipping through television, like scrolling on social media. It was everywhere. I was seeing this 1111, and of course, it catches my attention, and I'm like, well, like, what is this? And as time goes on, I'm like asking everybody, like, are you seeing? Nobody else is saying anything. I'm asking. Nobody is seeing this repeating number anywhere, and I'm like, am I going crazy or something? Like I'm seeing this all the time, and it's like, well, like, why? I don't understand. So that was basically the beginning of it all. So asking those bigger life questions, those deeper life questions, and then of course seeing the repeating numbers. And I think like at that point in my life, I believe that I lost myself. I had lost myself. I had lost my identity because for so long I had been the stay-at-home mom who has that purpose, who has those things. And it's not like I didn't have that anymore. And it's not that wasn't my purpose anymore, but I needed something more. And so I felt like I lost myself. I felt like I had lost my identity. And just asking these bigger questions and just feeling completely depressed. And I was also by that point, I was going through a huge, long bout of burnout. It started probably, I would say, roughly around 2015. And I was tired. I was exhausted. I was needing to nap sometimes 2-3 times a day. And it was just like, it was quite the rough patch. Anyways, I had always been into the spiritual, metaphysical world, and I started going through, I guess, some boxes I had packed away because we had moved several times. I started going through my boxes and coming across books and stuff that I had. I had, oracle cards, tarot cards, and going through my books, I come across this numerology book that I had bought several years before, and obviously it piqued my interest. It kind of jumped out at me at the bookstore the day I bought it. And, life happens and you just kind of push things aside and carry on. But I pulled this book out, and that's where my world changed. That's where my life changed. So I got into that. I started reading. I don't know, do you know anything about numerology, Cody?
Very little. And a lot of the number synchronicities have kind of been a part of my life for a long time. Like I've shared, when I was in high school, that was, I graduated in 1998, so I'm 45. And that was before cell phones and pagers were a thing. And that was my code. When I would text somebody or page them to call me back, it was, #222. And that was how you knew it was me. And so even from 27 years ago, that was something that was just a part of me, but it's slowly now starting to make sense. So yeah, it's
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I really, I just kind of dove into it from there. I went to town. Like I researched, I read, I watched videos. I did everything I could to integrate this knowledge into me. And that's basically where everything changed. So with numerology, from what I learned, from my understanding, numerology, it's a study of numbers and their energetic influence on our lives. Okay, so numbers are signs, they're symbols, they carry frequency, they carry vibration with them. And from what I've discovered, or what I like to say, and what I've learned is that numbers are the fingerprints of God, if you will. And so when we're born or when we're created, we are all created with a code. And so each one of us has these numbers that we come in with, and they all carry that vibration, that frequency. They carry characteristics, personalities, so on and so forth, that kind of make us who we are. And there's so many in each one of us, our numerology charts. But the main thing that I really got into was the core numbers of our personal numerology chart. And there's actually 5 of them. One is your life path that talks about your purpose. It talks about your mission. It's your soul's calling. It's really what you signed up to do in this lifetime. And then there's the expression number. It explains how you express yourself, how you show up, the essence of you, the gifts that you were given to actually help you on your path. Then there's also the heart's desire number. It's literally as it says, it's your heart's desire, what drives you. It's what motivates you on the daily to get up and get going. We also have our birthday number, so that's the day that we were born. Those are also gifts and tools that we were given. And then we also have our personality number. So it's what people see, what magnetizes people to us. It's our personality. So I went through all of that. I learned all of that, and it was just like this veil was lifted off of my face, and I could see everything clearly. I got to a point when I was talking about losing myself and my identity. I truly mean that. And I was there were actually even moments where I was questioning my worth and my value. And I was actually even trying to change myself to morph into other people, because for some reason I thought what I was showing up as, or who I was not good enough. So it was this whole, a whole bunch of things kind of intertwined into one thing. So when I finally did my chart and I had all my numbers, it was just like I could breathe like a breath of fresh air, because I could actually see how I was designed, how I was designed to show up. And what I was ultimately doing was trying to shut that down. So, just fast forward a little bit. This is where I am today. This is several years in and implementing my design into my life. My world has changed. My life has changed. My confidence is through the roof. I'm showing up as me. I'm not trying to be somebody else anymore. I'm not trying to hustle for my worth anymore. I've basically aligned with my design. And so that has helped me on this spiritual journey and the spiritual awakening, because that's not who I was. That's not who I was. I was trying to be somebody else, losing myself. And the numbers, they've helped with the awakening and helped me see just how special I actually am. So this is actually the work that I do today. So
very cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. So.
Well, and see, my birthday is July 16th, so I see 7/16 all the time. And I tend to see it more than just twice on the clock in a day. Like it's very common that I see it several times a day. And even that, like my house number, I started doing and just adding up numbers and finding it. But the street number adds up to a 1 and an 11. And just I've done the same thing. I start counting the letters in my name, and then how many letters, the alphabet letters, and what does all of this add? Like, just I get into it. I don't understand it, but I've started getting to the point where I know that there's meaning behind it, and so
absolutely,
there's a big belief that I have that especially with all of us connecting and kind of joining in this community, that everybody's gifts, everybody's knowledge, and what we've learned is slowly going to be helping all of us in different aspects. So I think it's just amazing that you've been made aware of your gifts, and it's I don't know, I can't even explain to know how grateful I am to keep meeting people like you. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So now that you mentioned like the house number, so as I said, there's numbers are signs, they're symbols, but they also explain patterns. So like if you're seeing these repeating numbers, there's a pattern to it. It's a code, and there's a pattern, and there's a story behind that. So I mean, each of us we have an address, we have, the number on our house. And so with numerology, you're always trying to reduce to a single digit, right? So if the house number you live in is 717, so you add those together until you get, your number. And then you would add those, like if it was 717, so that would be 15. So you would add 1 and 5 together and you would get a 6. Okay. So then you're living in a house number 6. And so each number has a meaning. It has a description to each number. And so the vibration that house carries would be a 6. And so the 6 is very loving, very nurturing, very family oriented home. Okay. If that makes sense. And then, as with everything in numerology, there's a positive and a negative. So if you're living in a house 6, you can experience those things. And then of course there's things on the negative side. And that goes for all of us, like in our numerology chart, there's positive and negatives as well. But, it's pretty interesting. So basically it's, I like to say, numerology saved me. I like to say that, I didn't find it. It found me. It was just one of those things. I was in a bookstore and it just happened to be, I think it was even in the wrong spot too. Like it wasn't even anywhere I was looking for this specific book that I had found, and it was just right there. And then I had to buy it. I had to take it home with me. So, so it's been pretty cool.
That's awesome. And I would say that, divine timing, right? Everything happens for a reason, on purpose.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
It is. It's scenarios that just keep happening on purpose, and knowing that we're all here together for the same reason. It's crazy. I don't know if you've heard or I've shared just a few times the trip I just took to Maui, right? And I spent a month by myself in Maui just trying to figure out who I was and who I wasn't really. And you talked about like that, just identifying who you were and feeling lost. And I I learned after a while that I didn't need to figure out who I was. I just needed to know who I was not. And
Yeah.
and come back from that trip, and I had an experience while I was there. So I went hiking up through the volcano, through Haleakala volcano, and had like 6 hours just hiking by myself, and I'd passed a few people up and down the trail, but there was a good portion of the time where I was alone and completely, you're 10,000 feet elevation, the air is thin. You realize at that point, like, it's even hard to breathe sometimes when you're hiking and going uphill. And after that whole experience, I was driving down the mountain, and there was a man that appeared on the side of the road. So it's about a 2 hour drive from the beach area or from sea level up to the top of the mountain in a car. And the sky, the clouds were beautiful the whole day. It was very visible. And as I was driving down the hill, I was probably 25, 30 minutes from the peak, and the clouds rolled in, and it got to the point where I couldn't see more than 5 feet in front of my car. So I'm driving 5 miles an hour, because off the edge of the road there's no barricade. You're either on the road or you're falling down the mountain. And so I'm driving slow. The temperature drops. It's about 35, 40 degrees, and it started raining. So windshield wipers are going, can't see anything. And I took a picture out of my window. And when we're done with this, I'm going to text it to you. There's 2 pictures I took. One that I took at 2:22, and then another picture that I took at 3:33, at 3:33. So at 2:22, I took a picture out my driver's window of just the clouds. You can't see off the edge of the road. And I drove another 10, 15 feet, and then all of a sudden there was a man walking on the side of the street. And I realized that he was just, whether he was walking down the mountain, whether he wasn't with anybody, and he had kind of just appeared out of nowhere. So I backed up and asked him, I said, hey, we're like an hour and a half drive down the mountain, and it's raining, it's 35, 40 degrees. Like, get in my car, I'll drive you to the bottom. And he ended up getting in my car, realized he was a homeless man that had his backpack with him. Everything he owned was in the car, or in his backpack, and got in the car. We had just an amazing conversation. And I think any normal person, and I say normal because I feel like we're not normal, but at the same time we're normal.
Yeah.
And he told me that he had appeared through a portal, that he was in California 10 minutes ago. And I said, well, we're in Maui. We're on the top of Haleakala volcano. And I said, I'll drive you down the bottom. I said, and when I left my house prior to this trip, I wrote on a Post-it note that I wanted to meet a stranger, whether it was a homeless person, a retired veteran. I wanted to share a meal with them and hear their life story. And that was something I had wrote down before I left. And here I am now asking this man to get in my car so I can drive him to the bottom of the mountain. And I asked him if I could buy him a meal, and we just stopped at McDonald's. So coming down the mountain, he starts telling me that he came through a portal, and that he has information and knowledge about different planets, and he's built several spaceships, and he understands quantum physics, and he knows that we're an electromagnetic planet, and he just starts describing things to me that I'm like, yeah, that's all true, yeah. And I'm just like, but I had this conversation 2 years ago, I would have asked the guy probably to get out of my car. And we got to the bottom of the mountain, and I found the closest McDonald's. We pulled up into the restaurant, walked inside, and was ordering food at the kiosk. And you order your own meal, because there was not a front counter, and it was a smaller location. So there's like 2 or 3 benches or booths for people to sit down, and 2 little ordering kiosks. Well, he started typing in numbers on the kiosk like he was logging into a reward system, and 515-515-803, 515-515-803. And he's typing these numbers in as a kiosk. And he said, do you know what those numbers are? And I said, no, I'd love to hear though. And he said, that's the universe's code to me that allows me to have everything for free. I'm like, that's freaking awesome. Like, that's cool. And I'm loving this conversation because I'm learning about somebody that I don't know. I'm having a moment with a man that has lived a very tough and hard life. And he then erases that or backs out of it and goes into ordering his food. He asked me if I've ever had a banana strawberry smoothie from McDonald's. I said, no, I actually haven't. He said, I'm going to order one for you. So he orders 2 of those. He orders himself some food. And then I get ready to pull my card out of my wallet. And I have just a little small card holder wallet type thing. Just keep it in my front pocket. And so I have my hand on in my pocket getting ready to pull the card out. And he pulls a wallet out of his pocket. And he pulls out a debit card that appears that he had picked it up on the side of the road, like it had been run over 100 times. And I thought, there is no way that this card is going to work, let alone probably stay together if he tries to put it into a little card reader. And then he goes to sign on the pen pad that's not a touch screen. He uses his fingers like he's signing his name. And he's like, yep, so I got to sign my signature with my code and everything's free. Cool. Sounds great. Like, I'm enjoying this conversation. And he puts his debit card into the machine and it approved. And it ran the transaction and it paid $27 for our food. And I looked at him, I said, hey, I thought I was buying you the meal. And he says, I told you, you gave me the ride, I give you the food. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense, right? And he says, again, there's universal codes where everything's free. As long as you do what's right, everything's free. And our food came out, we got it to go, and walking out of the restaurant, I've always been one that likes to open doors for people, whether I'm holding it open and they walk in front of me, or he was in front of me at this moment, just a step in front of me. So I kind of reached in front of him to open the door as he walked through. And then as I passed through the doorway, there was a family coming out behind us. So I turned around to hold the door for them and made sure that the husband that was following us had caught the door so it didn't close on them. And turned back around, and there was a parking lot that didn't have anything else in it. And he was gone. I don't know where he went. The husband behind me, I asked him, I said, did you see where that guy went? I said, I brought him here to buy him a meal, and we both walked out the door together. I turned around to hold the door for you, and I don't know where he is. I went around the left side of the building. The husband went around the right side of the building, and we couldn't find him. He was gone. I want to chalk it up to he just walked away faster than I was able to pay attention.
Right.
But what I do know is he appeared at 2:22 in front of me in the clouds. And at 3:33, I took a picture of myself holding this smoothie, crying, because he disappeared, and I don't know where he went.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most amazing stories I ever had. And I made myself some notes that trip and brought back 9 things that I kind of learned from that lesson. But one thing that I wrote was the universe is always giving you gifts, and the gifts from the universe are always free. And give your gifts to other people in the universe without any expectations. And then I put in parentheses, like riding down the mountain with God. And I don't know who he is. I don't know where he went. And it was an amazing story. But when we get done, I'm going to send you those 2 pictures. And it was amazing. But those numbers have been huge in my life. So to hear that you understand it now is maybe you can give me some insight to what you think might have.
Absolutely. Oh, gosh, yes, absolutely. And, because I've been following along your journey and I've been listening to the podcast and stuff. So I hear, so here's the cool thing. I'm a certified numerologist now. So I've taken a year program and I got really deep into it so I could really figure this out because I know how much it's worked for me and I want to be able to help people as well. So I do have training, and so the first thing is for anybody who's listening, for you, anybody who's interested in repeating numbers, when you're seeing a repeating number, specifically 1111, we'll use that one as an example. The first thing that someone needs to know is that they are actually having a spiritual awakening. So it's the universe is trying to get your attention. It's trying to wake you up out of the matrix. And so it will use, right, the patterns and the repeating patterns to get your attention, first off, to get your attention. And just to understand that is what's happening. It's a spiritual awakening. Secondly, because it's the 11. So the 1 in numerology, just kind of briefly, the 1 is all about the 1. It's about the self. It's about you, your individuality, your individuation. It is Genesis. It's the beginning. It's the start of everything. And the 1 in numerology it talks about, as I said, the 1, the self, the individual, the identity of the self. And so I think there's almost like an epidemic of people seeing the 1111 across the board now more than ever, because my understanding is that there is such people are losing their identity. People have lost their identity. People are, not knowing who they are. They're not, being the authentic version of themselves anymore. People are kind of just following. I think there's so many followers and not enough, leaders, not enough people taking lead in their own life. So it's almost like an epidemic that we're seeing this 1111. And so it's like, it's first off, waking up to the fact that you're having a spiritual awakening. You're waking up out of the matrix. but also in the same breath, it's pushing you to discover who you are, who you truly are, your unique individuality, and to stand in that, to stand tall, to stand proud, to stand in the uniqueness of your specific design. So, and it all makes sense, with everything that I was going through. Like, why am I here? What is my purpose? Like I said, I had lost myself. I had lost my identity. And all of a sudden this 1111 appears, and, it all makes sense now. So, what I think, so I've been listening to you, and I've heard you, you've said your birth date. So I knew you had a 16, which actually 1 + 6 is 7. So you've got the aspects of the 7 in your birthday. I listen to people talk now. So when I hear people talk, I pick up words, I pick up phrases, I pick up how they say things, and I try to guess the numbers in their chart. And a lot of times I'm right because of, specific things that people will say. And so I'm listening to you, and I'm trying my hardest to try to pinpoint, what numbers that you're carrying with you. And actually, what I think would be really cool and would be really exciting, and I would love to offer, is to actually do your chart for you if you would be open to that.
Absolutely. I would. I know that my favorite saying, right? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And here you are. So yes, I would love to learn anything I can from you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love that. And what's cool is, like I've talked, like in my work, we focus on, so there is 5 core numbers, but in my work, we actually focus on the 2 most powerful numbers in our chart. So that would be the life path. So that's the path that you come here to live. And then of course your expression number, and that's the gifts that help you with your purpose. And then we also look at, so basically these are timing cycles. Okay. So with your life path, when you're born, that will always remain the same. So that never changes. So that number that you come in with for your life path will be the number that you leave when you go home. And then we also go through other timing cycles that actually change. And so, for example, as part of my work, we look at your personal year number. And so that actually tells you what cycle you're in for that current year. So for example, like 2026, whatever cycle you're in right now, that will end and will change again next year. So depending on what you're in right now, that's the theme of your year. Like that's the party. That's the theme of the party that you're in. And basically what's cool about knowing this number is like, so this is something from my mentor. When I took the program, she always said, knowing your personal year number is like knowing the theme to your party. You don't want to show up at the wrong party in the wrong outfit for the entire year. And so that's what's cool about knowing it, because when you know the energetic theme, you can align with it. So you ever had those years where it's just like such a struggle and oh my God, I hated it. It was horrible. You're probably trying to stick a round peg into a square hole type of thing.
All of last year.
Right? Yep. There you go. Yeah. So when you know your number, you can align, you can move with it. And then a lot of times you can actually be more successful in that year. And at the very least, if anything, you have an understanding of why things are happening and how to make sense of it all.
Wow. No, that makes sense. Because, last year I felt like I just got my face kicked in over and over and over. I quit my job and returned 2 times last year. Everything, and I kind of just not knowing much, but into the astrology side of it, that's Chinese astrology, the year of the snake and the shedding of the snake. I'm like, okay, I'm just letting go of everything that no longer works, but it just kicked my butt. So it makes a lot of sense. Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And that actually, the way you're talking, the things that you're saying, I kind of have an inkling of what cycle you might have been in at that point. If you're comfortable sharing your entire birthday here with me right now, I would love to check it out. If not, that's totally something we can do on the side. But
I'm an open book. There is nothing that I'm like, so 7/16/1980.
Okay. Give me 1 second here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pull up my calculator.
And just while you're doing that, I'll just kind of chat a little bit and just share some of our information for the listeners. But we have these podcasts now that's on Spotify. It's been linked to Amazon Music as well as YouTube, so everything's kind of redundant in all the three platforms. We've started a support group for The Awakened Stranger on Facebook, and that is not necessarily invite only, but it's being accepted from with some moderators that are making sure that we keep things clean and that our space there is sacred and special for those that want to join. Everybody's welcome, but we are just making sure that it's not going to be filled with a bunch of people kind of just commenting on rude things. So The Awakened Stranger on Facebook, I've copied that to Instagram, so there's links to the Spotify account. There's also links to my Google account on both YouTube and Instagram for anybody that wants to share a podcast or share an episode with us and schedule a time slot. So that would allow anybody to call in and be a part of this as well. So there's some information in the middle of that if you're ready to keep going.
Okay, so it was July 17th in 1980 or 16th in 1980?
Yes.
Okay, so that makes perfect sense because last year you were in a 5 personal year, and that's a year of unexpected opportunities, travel, and changes. So, yeah. So just like a few of the things that kind of could have come out for you. Of course, it shows up differently for everybody, but last year could have been a little volatile, a little chaotic. Mm-hmm. With changes, that can happen, right? Mm-hmm. But I like to think of changes as a positive thing. You're outgrowing what no longer serves anymore, and so you got to make room for the new. But yeah, so a lot of things, basically what the energy centers around for the 5 personal year is freedom, change, and facing your fears. Does that make sense for you?
Oh my gosh. So the 6th and the 7th thing that I wrote down on that note was I faced a lot of things that I had never done before, and I've even shared some of the new first things I've done, but I said, do the scary things until they're no longer scary.
Oh my God.
And then I wrote, and then find the next scary thing and do that until you're no longer scared. Right? And then there's the next note, and I'm going to send you a copy of this note so you can see it all. And then I wrote on there that I am no longer in fear. I am no longer allowing things to hold me back or hold me down. I know my life's purpose. I said, I know my life's purpose, and I know that everybody else has their own purpose, and that no person has the same. And those were the 2 things I wrote after that, my time in Maui. So, yeah, I let go of fear.
Oh my God! I have goosebumps everywhere. That is, again, so on point, right? Like this was your timing cycle, and that was what you were meant to learn last year. And so the fact that you faced the fears instead of running away from it, you've learned that lesson. And that's the thing. That's what numbers are. Yes, they're vibrations, they're frequencies and whatnot, but they bring with them lessons. They bring with them challenges, and they bring with them lessons so that we can learn, grow, and evolve from them.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you even say that to my daughters. Life is either an experience or a lesson. And we're either here to learn a lesson, and we'll repeat that lesson until we've learned it, or we're gaining the experience of the lesson that we had just recently achieved or learned from. So I love how it's all just aligning for me right now and for all of us. So it's very cool.
Yeah, for sure. And then so this year, so of course you're in a new cycle this year, which would make it a 6. And just kind of briefly, this year is about home relationships and responsibility. Like the number 6 is all about duty, being of duty and service. And obviously you're feeling that call. I believe that's what it feels like. You're feeling that call to be of service. Yes. Absolutely,
and that's okay. That's the next thing I said. Is I want to be a tool in the hand, and I wrote God. Right, my version of God is source, universe, creator, and I wrote that I want to be a tool in the hand of God to let anything that needs to happen through me be allowed. And I know for a fact this is nothing that has to do with me. This is me being allowed to work, have the work done through me, and it's. Yeah, unreal.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like we are here. So I like to look at it as actually I used to subscribe to that Gaia channel, and there was one show that I had been watching, and the guy explaining how God and us work together. And basically what he said was, like, if you can think of God as the library, okay, so God has all the information, he has all the knowledge, God is the library. And we are here. So what good is all that information without the experience? And that's why we're here. We're here to create the experience. And I think that's what life is. It's just a bunch of experiences, you know? And so it's pretty cool.
I could go down a whole nother rabbit hole with just that about experience and right, the purpose of a soul. So I think that's a whole nother episode if you ever want to do another one.
Absolutely. Oh my God. I could talk to the cows come home about this stuff. It's yeah, I love it. Absolutely. Yes. And you know what? I had to peek in on your life path number. And again, like I'm offering this to you, just a little snippet so that people can kind of hear the juiciness of numerology. And it's my passion. I love it. I want to share it. So I just had a little peek into your life path number, Cody. And actually you and I share the same life path number, and that's the life path 5. Okay. And that is about freedom, fun, and adventure. Does that resonate?
I literally quit my job because I didn't want to sit in an office and stare at a wall. I want to go be out in nature. I want to go experience the world. I'm you know, and a moment of truth here, I guess, right? I've been married for 20 years. I've got 3 daughters. My youngest is 17, middle one's 19, my oldest is 26, and then through my oldest's marriage, they've been married 4.5 years, and we have 2 grandchildren, so a 2-year-old little boy and a 3-month-old little girl. And I want to sell everything, and I want to go travel. I want to leave this house and go experience the world. And my family's like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't just make everybody change. I'm like, but you don't understand. Like, I have to. Like, it is,
yes, you do.
It's a huge topic right now at our house, is trying to make sure I'm not like limiting myself and allowing things to not happen, and also not uprooting my whole family or changing everybody's life, because there's, you know, not everybody's on my same path right now. And that's something we're currently working through right now, because it's a very, I want to say it's my soul telling me that there's locations I need to be in. And you know, I reference Hawaii a lot, but I have memories of things from other planets that align with some of the energies in Hawaii, and Lemuria is something that keeps coming to mind. And I don't really know what that is. I'm still learning, but so.
Well, I can tell you, so what you're feeling is that is your design, Cody. And so the thing is, with the life path 5, the life path 5 is very misunderstood. Okay. A lot of times the life path 5 can be the black sheep, because we are the rolling stones. We are the change makers. That's what we are here to do. We are here to, basically free ourselves from any confine that binds us, and help do that for other people as well. We are the liberators. We're known as the liberators. And so the fact that you want to do this, I mean, it makes total sense to you, but for other people, they're sitting there scratching their head going, what the hell is, what? Yeah. Why are you doing this? Like, this is crazy, right? But for us, it's nothing, because it's part of our innate design. Okay, so we handle change really well. We're really flexible. We're really adaptable people. And when you're stagnant, when things are stagnant, it feels like you're a caged bird.
Oh, okay. I had a dream. I had a dream last night, and you just triggered a memory. So I don't normally dream, and I normally don't remember them. And just recently, I've started having very vivid dreams, right? And one of the TikTok posts, I shared a dream that I had that was pretty profound for me. But last night, and it was very short, I had a dream that I was on one side of a chain link fence, and on the opposite side of a chain link fence was a bird's nest. And there was a baby bird in the nest that was struggling to survive. And I was breathing through the fence to give this bird life, to breathe on its life on this bird. And I woke up, and that was the only part of the dream I remember. But I woke up and I text myself, because I text myself memories of how I can remember things. And the memory that I text, or what I thought was there is life being breathed into something that's about to take flight. And I had that dream last night. That was so the fact that all of this is happening, and things are changing very quickly for me, and I feel like between just our community growing, this podcast kind of reaching a lot of people, it feels like I'm breathing life into something that's about to take flight. And I don't know, that was a little profound moment for me. So for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So,
Yeah, so this is the cool thing about numerology, and this is why I want to offer it to you. Like, I feel like you're listening to those inner stirrings, right? Like, you're taking action, you're kind of just going with it, and wherever it leads you. But the thing is, like, when you know your numerology, when you have those numbers, you can align with them, and life just it gets easier, it gets better, it gets easier because you're aligning with that innate design, how you were created. And with the life path, that being your purpose, you are meant to be the liberator. You are meant to be the freedom seeker. You are meant to be the change maker. And so when we don't know that, when we don't know what we're supposed to be doing, a lot of times we can actually show up doing things that don't align with that, right? Like I said, I was trying to change myself to be other people, and instead of embracing my true design, I was trying to hide it and change who I was. And so that can cause a lot of friction, a lot of pressure, a lot of depression, right? Because you're depressing your gifts, your natural design. And so when we know it, we have that breath of fresh air, because it's now you can accept the way that you were designed, and you can work with it, you can roll with it, you can align with it, and things just get better.
Oh, and it's, again, I like the dumb sayings, the analogies, right? When you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. And
that's right. Absolutely.
These last 3 weeks of me doing something different than a job has been the most liberating and freeing feeling I've ever held. So I guess before we get too far into it, I would like the listeners, how do they find you, and how do they take advantage of your services? And is this something you offer? Is this something you do as a job? Like, how do they?
Yeah.
Let us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Promote yourself, please. Let everybody hear you.
I will do it. So you can, I'm everywhere. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. I also have TikTok. And so on TikTok, it's Cosmic Clarity. But I think the username, it's Cosmic Clarity Codes. I think that's what it is for Instagram and TikTok. And then just on YouTube and Facebook, it's just Cosmic Clarity. Nice. So, and I know there's probably a few other pages or profiles that have that name. So you can just look for the little, it's like it's a planet. It's a planet and the logo, and it says Cosmic Clarity. Lots of purple, cosmic kind of look, galaxy kind of profile picture.
Love it. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure people could reach you, because this is amazing.
Yeah, you can reach me on my website. It's www.cosmicclarity.ca.
Perfect. Good. I just want to make sure I didn't miss that part for you. So I want everybody to be able to take advantage of your knowledge if they would like to. So that's very cool.
Absolutely. There was one other thing that I did want to mention, because I heard you talk about this previously too. You had talked about feeling at the beginning, I believe it was at the beginning or closer to, where you had talked about having that unconditional love, that feeling, that unconditional love. And I remember that. I remember going through that. That happened. That actually was the very first thing that I experienced when I was starting my spiritual awakening. And so I went on the hunt. I'm trying to learn about things, trying to gain some knowledge and information. And for anybody who is going through a spiritual awakening and you're trying to put things together, I would send them. There's a girl a woman on YouTube. Her name is, Christina Lopes. And she talks about the 6 stages of a spiritual awakening. And that unconditional love stage is actually called the bliss stage. Okay. And it's short-lived for most people, because we have to live in reality, right? Like, we can't live in bliss all the time. But it's definitely an experience, and I just remember it was almost like a high, like you just love everything and everyone, and you don't want it to ever end. But unfortunately, it goes away. Mm-hmm. But so she talks about these 6 stages, and it actually put a lot of things into perspective for me and helped me along the way. So for anybody who's interested, she has a video that talks about each stage, so that might be able to help somebody else as well.
Nice. Yeah, that would. I try to feel like I stay in that space as much as I can, because there's definitely something to, what I would say a romantic love versus just a love for everything.
Oh, yeah.
And it's unreal. I find myself responding to people's negative comments. Well, the other day I was mailing off a thank you card to somebody, and that's something I've learned to kind of do in my life now is really just show gratitude, but not just say it, to actually do it. And so I was at the post office, and I was writing out the address on the envelope, and I could hear the two clerks that were just talking to each other, just small talk, and one was complaining about the next person, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I would love to just talk to you guys, because I don't think you understand. They were talking about their husband and how things were just not going good, and I'm like, you're literally speaking into reality everything but love, but yet you're saying that you want love. Like, just please, like, listen to what you're saying, because I'm like, I don't even know you, but I like sympathize, and I love you so much that I want to tell you, like, you're hurting yourself and you're hurting your husband more than you know. But it was one of those things where I feel like it random strangers, I just look at people differently now. I don't know. It's definitely different.
I would also like to say that probably has a lot to do with the cycle that you're in right now too, because the 6 is the number of love. It's the number of love, duty, service. And actually the goal for you this year is to get serious about how you love and how you want to be loved in return.
You are literally just like you've got a listening device in my house, because that is the conversation
so cool. I
just had with my wife 3 nights ago, was explaining to her why I responded to things a certain way. And for the longest time in my life, I've not been able to really vocalize my feelings. And when you asked me how my day was, it was good. Like, now I wanted to explain why I did this and how I felt, and letting her know, like, hey, your response to this and the way you said that makes me feel this way, and I don't enjoy that, but I like this, and I've never been able to understand how to explain my emotions, and all of that's happening. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's that timing cycle that you're in. So, and then just also too, like, I don't know if this has come up for you yet. So what are we in? We're almost at the end of May. So we're good, solid, almost 5 months into the year. So what happens is the energy, it will continue to build over the year. So, a lot of times when we start fresh in our personal year, we don't feel it right away. But as time goes on, it starts to build and, amplifies a little bit more. So right now, basically the goal one of the goals for this year that you're in is basically saying or asking, should I stay or should I go? Has that come up for you yet?
Oh, 100%. It's
okay.
Right. Do I stick around and do what I've been doing and keep everybody else happy, or do I do what's going to make me happy? And that's I guess at a bird's eye view level of kind of the whole thing that's happening lately. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because, the 6 is the number of love, duty, and service, but it doesn't mean that has to be to everybody all the time. You have to be included in that as well. And so that is the deeper part of the 6. Where can you give yourself love, service, duty, and compassion? So you must come first. It's really about prioritizing yourself, and not on a selfish level. Okay. It's making sure that you're good so that you can be of service to others.
Yeah, no, and that's been the other thing. I'm dealing with this thought that I'm being very selfish because I'm trying to do things to make myself happy.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
No, not at all. Yeah. So and that's the beauty. When you know the energy that you're in, you know what you're working with, you can kind of drop that pressure. This is a time to be, we'll use the word selfish. Okay, if we're going to use it, it's understandable. Okay, but it's not in a negative way. Right? Like, we have to make sure that we're good too. And so understanding that that's the energy that you're working with this year, that is a lesson that you're working in this year, it makes it a little less, I guess, feel like less of a burden or less of pressure that you might be experiencing. You can go, okay, this is what I meant to learn this year. So, yeah.
I love it. I would love to continue, and I feel horrible, but I've ended up scheduling my time to where my next call is in like 8 minutes, and I'm going to have to fix that because a lot of our conversations recently with other people have gone way more than I thought, because it's amazing information. I would love to schedule a part 2 if that's okay. But before we end, I like to always kind of ask my final question, like, through everything that you've shared with us in numerology, making sure people can find you. Is there any last message that you'd like to share with the listeners of kind of just what you've learned and what's important to you in your life at the moment?
I would just like to say, like, numerology is my passion. I know that I was meant to learn this, and I was meant to use this with myself, and then be able to help other people as well, right? Like, I'm not Life Path 5. I'm here to liberate myself and to help liberate others. And I feel like this is one of the ways that we can do it, one of the tools that we can use to do that. And so if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're burnt out, you're spinning your wheels, you're experiencing Groundhog Day every day, I look at that as suffering, right? And I feel like it's almost in a sense, not to sound, I don't want to sound harsh, but almost in a sense where it doesn't need to be that way. Because I feel like once you know your code, once you know your design, and once you know that the energy that you're working in, life can get easier. You can breathe. You can put down the pressure. And so it's done wonders for me. It's done wonders for my life. And I want to be able to share this with everybody else, with anyone who's open to it. So so thanks for letting me share this information today.
Yes, and thank you. And I'll make sure we link your website to the podcast, so that's easy for people to find. And again, I'll kind of just repeat my stuff here, but yeah, this is the Awakened Stranger and Cody and Melanie for an amazing time. I can't believe it, and I can't wait for part 2. But yeah, find us on our support page there on Facebook, The Awakened Stranger, and as well as Instagram and YouTube. The podcast is everywhere, and I love it that it's reaching multiple countries already. It's been a week, and we're in 9 countries already. So links to the Google Calendar is on my Instagram page, and as well as the TikTok page, and that's where people can schedule their own time slot to share their information, to share their knowledge and their life experiences. And I can't wait to see how many more people we get to reach, because this is definitely life-changing. So I appreciate your time so much, Melanie, and I look forward to our next time that we can chat, and I hope you have an amazing day.
Me too. Thank you. You too, Cody.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
You betcha.